Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome to the Centurions Review, the punk rock band of wargame review institutions. This is Timelag, a very old micro game. Essentially, it's a spaceship combat game. In order to win, a player must control 12 collapsar systems for one full game turn, or control the opposing player's home base. Collapsars are these little spaces here. As far as home base, there's one right there. There's a home base right there. It's really hard to see. On the map, there's red stars and black stars. Let's see if I can show you. This little thing you can barely see here apparently is a red star. What's significant about red stars is if you get to one, you can jump to a black star. And what's significant about that is you can jump from a black star to another red star. So that's how you move from one system to the other. As far as movement value, it depends on your technology level. If you have technology 1 and 2, you move 2 hexes. 3, you move 3 hexes, and it's got a bunch of other stuff for technology 4, 5, 6, and 7. We won't get into that. Anytime you move in this game, for each hex you move or each jump you do from like a red to a black or a black to a red, you get time dilation. Which means that more time has passed at the home base than you've experienced because you're moving close to the speed of light, so time moves more slowly. So if this Gordon had moved 1 hex, it would move up to time lag of 35. Time lag is relevant because when you're fighting, if you have more time lag than your opponent, essentially the formula you use will be beneficial to your opponent because he's got a newer technology level. If your ship doesn't move at all during a turn, then it loses 5 time lag, so that's the only way to get rid of it. Sequence of play, well, there is none written in the rulebook. Oops, I guess they forgot to put it in there. So someone on Board Game Geek came up with a sequence of play. So I don't even know if I'm playing this game correctly. I'm just copying this from what some guy assumes the sequence of play is. But apparently the one everyone's using, since it's not written in the rule book, is Americans go first, and then they do movement, time dilation, which occurs depending on how far you moved, and then combat, and then economic point phase, where you figure out how many economic points you have depending on how many systems you control. And then it's the Russian players' movement, their time dilation, their combat, and then their economic point phase. And then after that, there's the American build phase and the Russian build phase. So since these are all technology level 1, they can move 2 hexes or do a jump. So these two here, let's say they want to jump to this black star, move them to the black star, and use this table here to see if you scatter, going from a red to a black in tech level 1 through 5. So if they rolled a 1, 2, or 3, they'd be successful. Otherwise, they'd scatter. Or if they roll a 6, they're eliminated, which is very dangerous because you have to go from red stars to black stars in order to get to other systems in this. And there's a 1 in 6 chance every time you do it that you'll be destroyed unless you get to tech level 6, in which case you can do it without being eliminated. If you're moving within the same system, you still got to roll on the table, but it's either successful or scatter. And there's this scatter flower here. This is when jumping from a black to a red star. If you scatter, it shows what system you ended up in. So if this one made it here, this is number 3, the Russian one. He'd move his number 3 marker here up from 25 to 30 because of the time dilation that occurred by moving. All right, as far as combat occurs if 2 opposing units are in the same hex. So let me show you or tell you how the calculation's done here. So they each have a force points. He's got 5, he's got 5. And you multiply that by its technology level, both of them as 1, so they're both still at 5. And then you find the tech age differential. So this one's on 30. And the other one's on 25. So the attacking one is the red, so he's got 5 more than the Roger, which is bad. So he becomes 5 minus 5, so he's at 0. So he would roll on this table here, and the best he can do is a 1, 2, or 3 gets an exchange. So that's how the time dilation works in the combat. So when you get to the build phase, well, actually, one thing I forgot to mention is when you start the game, you determine how many economic points are in each system by rolling, and if you have a base there, you get double them. So whenever you take over a new system, you're going to get its economic points. So here's what you can do with economic points. You can buy ships of your current technology level. So its cost is its strength times the technology level. So this one's a 2. It has a strength of 10 and technology level is 2, so this one would cost 20 if you were at level 2. None of these are at level 2 yet, so they're going by level 1 ships. But however, if you want to get to level 2, you can pay 75 EP points to move to technology level 2. And there's a few other things you can buy here. You can buy sunbursts. They're incredibly powerful computer-controlled devices that trigger a nova in the hex. They are in at the owning player's discretion, so you can use it kind of like a mine. You have warps that you can place on certain collapse stars, and when a opposing player moves on it, they'll have to roll to see if they scatter. So, or if they roll a 1, there's no effect. And then you can buy more bases. The significance of bases, in addition to being able to give you double the EP points, when you purchase units, they start in one of your bases. So that's the basics of how the game plays. Len and I will do the review portion now. Hey guys, Dave and Len here. We played Timelag, and we're not bragging about it. Len, what did you think about the game?
It lasted too long past the decisive point.
Yeah.
And it supposedly had simple mechanics, supposed to be a simple game. The problem was unsatisfactory was that we were losing more ships to the bounces between solar systems.
Between the red star and the black star. If you roll a 6 on a 6-sided dice, you lose your ship, and you have to basically move to the black star pretty much to be able to visit, go to other systems and take control of them. So 1 out of every 6 times you try to go to a black star, you lose a ship. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, because what it is you purchase a ship, you put it on your main base, and then you have to bounce it over to a black star, and then you bounce it over to wherever you want to go.
As far as losing ships, if you roll a 6, when you're going from a red to a black, you lose the ship. If you roll a 1 to 3, you get there successfully. If you get a 4 or 5, you scatter. And if you're going through your own system on a 1 through 4, you don't scatter, you get to your destination. On 5 or 6, you do scatter, or if you're going from black to red, 1 through 4, no scatter. So the game's a real pain in the ass. You can't get to where you're trying to go because you keep scattering, or if you're moving to a black star, you can lose your ship. Some turns we built like 2 ships each, and we'd lose 2 ships the next turn just from moving from one star to another, which is ridiculous.
We had one situation, one solar system was empty. And both Dave and I would send our ships there, and they either scatter or be destroyed.
Yep.
So 4 consecutive turns, it was empty.
Yeah.
And that was the time that I was like 1 point to one solar system from winning. And we actually called it quits early.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, if you got 12 solar systems, you could win, but we decided to make it 10. And
Yeah.
I was pointing out that what they should do is that there's 16 solar systems. If you control 9 of them, you've won. Because at that point, you'll have this economic, you'll have a larger rebuilt fleet. And then, unless you get into a few terrible space battles, of course, in this game, getting to the system to have a space battle is very difficult.
Mm.
Yeah. I was thinking also, if they had, there are tech levels from 1 to however else you go. Each tech level you go up, you should subtract 1 from the die roll. So, and level 1, 1 to 3 you get there. Level 2, 1 to 4, 5.
Well, they do have
Like,
a separate scatter table, I think, if you get to level 6, but it takes a while to get to level 6. Yeah, there's one way you can end the game early, though, if you take your enemy's base and hold it for a turn, which isn't easy to do, because obviously they're going to defend it. But
yeah, because a few times I was tempted to go there, but it was too risky.
Yeah.
And since I was ahead in bases, I decided to take the safe option and try to get the automatic 12 bases.
Yeah.
So.
Here's the list of some of the other things I didn't like about the game. There's no sequence of play written in the book. You just got to infer it. So there's a lot of missing information in this book. It's a terrible rule book, one of the worst I've ever seen in wargaming. I had to go on Board Game Geek, and some guy wrote up like a sequence of play for the game, so I got that from there. And there's some other stuff in here. It was hard to figure out some of the rules and stuff. It just wasn't written very well. The map is just hideous. I'm not complaining that it looks bad. It actually doesn't look that bad. It just looks simple. But there's stars on the map. They're supposed to be red and black stars. You can see the black stars. They're like black marker marks that they made on the map. And the red stars, I was staring at the map for quite some time trying to figure out where the red stars were. It's just like a little line they made with a red marker, and the map is faded over time and stuff. So it's like the map, they had the map made, and then they put the features on, just taking out a little marker and doing it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, because I was about to say that, we know, how old is this game?
I think this is from the early 80s.
Okay. That, the print technology was that, and sometimes it's hard to get a good print job, but the two most important features must stand out.
Yep.
So that for ease of play, because a few times I bounced through a system and said, okay, which one is the star?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, I can't tell.
Yeah, it doesn't say if you start with bases in the game, but when you look at the map, there's two bases printed on there, which are real hard to see because everything's faded and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's Greek letters identifying the systems. I didn't like having Greek letters because they're
Greek.
yeah, exactly. I remember some of the Greek levels. I got an engineering degree from all my math and physics classes, but a lot of them I don't know the name for the symbols, so I can't say to Len like go to such and such system because I don't know.
I wasn't sure which one was Delta system.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute, you mean triangle system, not D.
Yeah.
D was for something else, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
See, actually, all stars should be in Latin.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have been a problem.
The game had some interesting ideas, though, like with the time lag. The time labs lag is kind of unique. That was kind of cool, and the technology level was kind of cool. But it got tedious keeping track of it. And this has some of the same problems that Columbia games have. It's an area control game where you keep building new units each turn, and the game just takes forever. I think we mentioned that already, actually.
Yeah, you never get your replacement rate always. You never get losses that exceed your replacement rate.
Yeah.
So you don't need to take a few turns out of combat to really build up.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like I was up to level 4. I had no problems each turn buying 1 or 2 ships. And I think there was one level 3, I bought the largest level 3 ship and all my losses from the previous turn. So I had no problems rebuilding my fleet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the game
Keep
overall.
that in mind when you design the game. Your replacement rate your casualties must always exceed your replacement rate.
Yeah, good point. The game overall, I don't recommend it. I've probably played worse games. The rule book's probably one of the worst I've seen in wargaming, but I think with more play testing and a better rule book, it probably would have been a good game. Probably when they were play testing it, they were having a good time, but then when they actually wrote down the rules, stuff didn't make it there, and the game needed to be balanced more. They didn't do a good job. I don't know if what would the word, would it be balancing or just the playtime being too long or something. Yeah.
Playtime for what? Because it seems like every turn you're doing the same thing. Okay, I'm bouncing 2 ships from my red star to the black star. Oops, they both scatter. Okay, we go again. Next turn, I'm bouncing 2 ships from my black star to the red star. Oops, they scatter. And so it was like, and then you spend most of your turn trying to herd your ships back together.
Yeah.
Than you are really doing any strategy or tactics. So.
Anyhow, I don't recommend the game. I mean, if you collect micro games, it might be worth getting just so you have it in your collection. But if you're looking for a game to play, unless like the time lag theme of it really appeals to you or something, I wouldn't get it. Would you buy it?
Right now I don't have much money. So.
No. I mean, would you buy it
Actually,
if you had the money?
Only if I didn't have nothing else to buy. Because I was thinking that for some reason the time lag didn't seem to be such a big feature, or was it?
Well, it is in combat because it the ending combat value has to do with the time lag, your time lag versus your opponents. So.
Because I remember in Joe Haldeman's Forever War, when they were pursued by a more modern ship, that was very tense. That they were because they were traveling a lot. That they were behind the times and they had to like I said, very tense. But this one's like it didn't add up. Maybe it's because most of the times the only people you're having combat with are the ones with the tech nearest to you. Because I'd like to bounce to the low tech ones, but I never get to those systems that have the low tech ships.
I'd like to see like games like this and games like the block games and stuff where you're continually building units and stuff and area control and stuff. I'd like to see it where when a unit is destroyed, it's out of the game completely. You can't buy it back later because then you're actually working towards a conclusion to the game. Then, and if you want to like historically or thematically give a rationale behind it, you can just say, well, at some point your population runs out, or your country, your population just can't support more troops or something like that. But anyhow, don't buy it.
Don't recommend it. It's your decision to buy it, and truthfully, this one thing, if you want to, you could probably edit this, rewrite this into a smoother game.
Yeah, and make a new map.
It wasn't that bad of a game, but it takes too long, and there's ways of smoothing it out and making it a faster game that you can play in like an hour or so and have a good time.
All right, see you guys next week. Not sure what we'll be playing. I'll bring something good. Have a good one.